Everybody please give it up for the great Andrea Martin. Let's hear it.
Hello.
First things first, thank you for braving the storm and coming in for this interview. And also thanks to this audience for braving the storm and coming in for this interview. Unbelievable.
Wait, literally, this is unbelievable.
Yeah. Got some fans.
Well, or they want to keep warm. Where you just say, out on the street, nothing's open, everything's
This is
closed.
literally
This
just a
looks
group
good.
of homeless people we gathered to come
Exactly.
sit here. Yeah.
It's my demographic. Okay.
They love Broadway. Who knew?
Yeah.
Andrea, thank you so much for being here, though. Congrats on the show. I love this show. It's got, I think, my favorite tone of shows right now, which is the sort of Tina Fey kind of tone. I know she's an executive producer, not the creator of it. Talk about getting cast in this. How did it begin for you?
Well, I got a phone call from my agent saying, would I have breakfast or lunch with Tina and Tracey Wigfield, who did create this, and Robert Carlock, who's Tina's partner. And we met at Cafe Luxembourg, and I had an egg white omelet. You don't want to know all that, I bet.
No, I like this.
Okay.
I like the detail.
Egg white omelet.
What do you have in your egg white omelet?
Well, I had spinach and tomatoes, thank you, with a little bit of cheese.
Where do you don't go for pro? Oh, I guess the egg white itself has the protein.
Yeah, that's the
I
protein.
always need bacon in an egg white.
I just had a bacon biscuit on the chew. Anyway, we can talk about food forever, but let's not. And they want to get together and talk about an idea for a show that Tracey had created based on her mother and herself. And that was it. And then I just got an offer a couple of months afterwards. It was lovely.
Based on her mother and herself, meaning
Yeah.
that Tracey's mother worked in the industry with her?
No, Tracey's mother's really overly protective, overly involved, overwhelmingly in Tracey's life, but it's a beautiful, unconditional love they have for one another. It's a really interesting relationship, actually, because it's kind of obsessive, but I think they both accept each other for who they are, and that's what the show is based on.
And now Tracey obviously is not just the creator of the show and the showrunner. She also has a part in the show as well. She appears quite often. Is her mother around as well? Does she come around the set?
The mother has been around. Luckily for me, when we shot the pilot here at New York 1, actually, Kathy was around, and it was helpful to be in her presence and actually see how she has no filter as a human being. It's a pretty cool thing, really, when you think about it. I'm always like second guessing, was that the right thing to say, or who did I offend? But she just says what she feels, and it's very refreshing. It's a great quality to be able to hold on to for the show.
So you got to really model your character off of her and seeing how she behaves.
I did, yes.
Were you worried at all that in any way you would be mocking, because it is a comedy, you'd be mocking or making fun at any point?
You know, I wasn't, because I try with everything I do to come, well, this sounds really corny, but to really come from a place of love or generosity. I don't like impersonating people and finding something mean-spirited about it. So no, I don't think I felt that way. I hope that I was honoring what was written, but I knew that it was going to be my take on her, and she's a really lovely woman, so I was happy to have any qualities that she possessed.
Now, you've done a lot of TV over the course of your career. You've done a lot of theater, but I'm wondering if there's something different in doing a sort of Faye Carlock produced show, because the tone it's nonstop jokes. The jokes are never ending, and the plot has to work its way around the jokes, it feels like at times.
You know, you're right. I don't think I've ever done in a show like, well, I did Kimmy Schmidt in 30 Rock. I was a guest on the show, but this is really a lot of, no, that's okay. I was just a guest a couple of times, one on each of the shows, but this is really nonstop jokes. It's hard to memorize. Actually, for me, it was really hard to kind of get it into my head. I had to keep going over the lines and rehearse them right before we go on camera. I don't know, maybe just me, because everybody else seemed to do it very easily. But it's a real challenge to do jokes and then make them grounded and say that they're coming from a real person, from a real place. It is a challenge.
Because they also have to come out quite fast. I remember reading that with 30 Rock, the scripts were like 35 pages, and they were trying to shoot down to 22, so everybody had to literally speak as fast as possible while shooting.
Yeah, that is true. There wasn't a lot of time for pausing, but I think we found it. Like, nobody talks like I'm talking right now on the show. But I could impersonate how I...
That would be a joke if they were talking that way.
Exactly. That would be too much drinking the night before. Yeah. But, you know, you get into the rhythm of it. You get into the style of it. You know what's great about it? You know that you're saying something funny, so you're actually making yourself laugh inside. And I think that's a really great way to do comedy, when you kind of delight yourself as you're, yeah.
Well, that's one of the reasons that I've always loved these shows that like Carlock and Faye produce, is that there is a general sense that everybody is kind of delighted by the words that they're getting the chance to say, and the shows are just a delight to watch for that reason.
I think that's right, and I think when you watch these shows, you sign off on the fact that this is the style, so I think there's a taste for it, an audience for it, for sure.
Now, you've done an incredible amount of theater as well as television. Do you have which one is your first love? Do you have a first love?
Well, I don't want to kick a gift horse in the mouth, because I'm happy to be doing the TV that I've done and difficult people I love.
Never heard the phrase "kick a gift horse in the mouth."
You haven't?
No, Wait,
is that like a crazy old person would say, gift horse in the mouth?
I don't know, but I love it.
Nobody here has ever heard that? Well, yeah, wonderful. I
love it so much.
Somebody has to Google that. Kick a gift horse in the mouth. Wow. I don't think I've actually said that since I was 7. But we have to figure out what the origin of that is. I love figuring that out.
It's like one of those great phrases that's like, "Hey, kid, don't go kicking the gift horse in the mouth."
What are you doing there, bub? Don't kick the gift horse in the mouth. Right. It sounds like an old-timey kind of person. I want.
That's not what I meant.
I want your research people to Google it before we leave. We have to figure out
Who's got a phone? Someone look up "kick a gift horse in the mouth" for me.
Gift horse in the mouth. Okay. Because I love great news and I love difficult people. That's on Hulu now. But my first love is theater. I started doing it when I was 9 years old, from Portland, Maine, doing children's theater, and then summer stock, and it's just real muscle memory, something I'm very comfortable with, and there's literally nothing better in the world, and I think probably any actor will tell you this, and being in a rehearsal room and trying to create a character from scratch without cameras and everything around, just the safety of the rehearsal room. It's pretty special.
Yeah, that makes sense too, because I think so often actors love theater more so, a little bit more than television or film, because that theater is where the actor kind of gets to really shape the piece over the course of time and figure stuff out. Like you said, in the rehearsal room, oftentimes with television and film, you're showing up and the director and the writer have really figured most of what's there out, and your job is mostly to execute.
It is, but I think that probably there's a scrupulous casting period where they really know that the people that are going to be doing this TV show are really the characters that they believed in. But, you know, often in great news, I would say to Tracy, and I'm not really understanding where this moment is coming from, and can you explain it to me? So I'm not shy, and I'm trying to ground a moment that I don't understand, really. And maybe that comes from starting out in the theater, like really needing to know what each moment means.
How do you do that, if you don't mind getting in the weeds with me just for a second?
Yeah.
How do you do that in the theater and in the rehearsal space? Because oftentimes you can't really change. Playwrights are pretty particular about their words. It's hard to make a change like that. Yeah. More so maybe even than television at times. So how do you ground yourself in the rehearsal period with lines that you may be unsure of or uncomfortable with?
Well, I think it's a collaboration with the director, and oftentimes if the playwright's in the room saying asking the questions. What were you thinking when you wrote this? Where did this person just come? Did she come from a diner someplace? Was she meditating when she came here? What were your if I can't figure it out, what were your thoughts? And oftentimes an actor will just make a choice, even if it's not based on what the director or the playwright had in mind, but it's a choice. And I think it's a choice that you can put your shoulder behind. I have to work like that. I have to be really specific with what I do. I don't like being out there. I'm just going to say a joke and I hope it comes out and I don't really know where it's coming from. I'm not, I don't feel comfortable in that way, so.
Yeah, if you don't have that specificity behind it, you have no idea how it's going to land or where it's going to go afterwards. You're literally just walking into a room of insecurity at that point.
Right, and also you're walking into a room just based on your own energy level, and I guess that can get you by. Some places, I don't know, I guess if you're doing a concert or stand-up, or I've never done stand-up, but I don't know. I guess sometimes just being in the moment, well, that's improv, really. You don't know what you're going to say, but you're in the moment. And so that can serve you in that way, the ability to be in the moment and just think on your feet. But if you're doing something weekly, then I think it's important, for me at least, to know what I'm saying and where I'm coming from and what I want and where I'm going.
No, you said you know your first love is really theater. You fell in love. That was what you were first doing. How did you get into comedy? How did SCTV happen and you becoming a kind of comedy goddess take place?
That's I don't want to kick a gift horse in the mouth. I don't really know what that means, but I'm going to say thank you. You're my gift horse. Let's see. How did I get into comedy? So I grew up in Portland, Maine, and I was doing children's theater, and then I was doing summer stock, which is something people don't even know anymore what summer stock is, theater in the summer, where a lot of people got their start. And then I started doing Second City in Toronto, where I lived for many years. And I got the audition for Second City because I was doing dinner theater and musical comedy. They were looking for women. This is after Gilda Radner had left and to do Saturday Night Live. That was just that transition period, and they were looking for other women. So they saw me, the director, a producer saw me in a dinner theater. The show was What's a Nice Country Like You Doing in a State Like This? And I auditioned for it, and I got it. But I didn't, you know, now I think improv, people think of it as a vocation. It really is now, with Upright Citizens Brigade and I guess, I don't know, so many improv companies, Second City and the Groundlings. But when I was doing improv, there was really only Second City. So you just kind of thought, well, I guess this is fun. Let me dabble in this. But you didn't think this was really a career move. And now that's really something that the goals of people, that's how they start out, wanting to do improv and see where that's going to take them.
But you guys got a television show out of it at that time as well, right?
We did.
Eugene Levy, and was Harold Ramis a part of the show originally?
Was Harold Ramis and John Candy,
Yeah.
both of whom we've lost, and Marty Short, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara of Schitt's Creek. Has anybody seen that show?
It's fantastic.
It's so good, isn't it? It's crazy.
I mean, that's a murderer's row of comedy people. Everybody, yeah. All of you are so beloved, and I think a lot of it has to do with the work that you did after SCTV, but also SCTV as well. When you guys were doing that show, did you have any sense that this would be a kind of thing that would live in the ages, and comedy kids would consistently check it out every generation?
No, we really didn't. We just thought, how do we fill an hour and a half a week of material, which we were doing on NBC. It was on, I never get the times right. It was on after Saturday Night Live, so what would that be? Yeah, something like that. No, we didn't have any sense that it was reaching anybody. We were in Canada. We shot a lot of it in Edmonton, Alberta, which is really off the beaten track. It certainly was no media or press. There was no social media for sure. Nobody cared about us. And it wasn't until years later in 2006 or 7 when we were at the Aspen Comedy Festival, and they showed, there was a big audience, and we were being honored, and they showed clips of the sketches from SCTV behind us, and it was the first time we ever heard an audience laugh at anything we did.
2006?
Yeah, or 7. But where's your research person that's looking at...
I mean, you're talking like 25 years
later.
later.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, of course, people would come up to us over the years, and people that were fans, but we didn't really know the immediate impact, certainly with laughs until then.
I mean, everything seems to be kind of reuniting or coming back together that had sort of cult fandom of that time. Is there any chance, have you guys ever talked about getting back together and doing some kind of show?
You know, we're in the process right now of getting together to do a kind of documentary reunion that Netflix is going to do, and that Martin Scorsese, I think, is directing. And I know, it's crazy.
Did you say Martin Scorsese is directing?
Because he was a huge fan. Oh my God. Like a crazy fan. He's like the nicest human being. We got together. I don't know if I should be saying, I probably shouldn't be saying anything.
Wait, Martin Scorsese is going to direct an SCTV documentary reunion
special. What if it doesn't happen and I'm saying this? Look, we met and we talked, and we're supposed to be thinking of ideas, and yes, it's all out there. So
that is so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Why am I being so hesitant? Because the idea of having to write anything, oh my God, scary.
I'd imagine it's that, and it's also because it's quite possibly the coolest outcome of any kind of reunion is like all of you getting back together, Netflix and Martin Scorsese. I'd imagine there's a part of you having been in entertainment for so long, it's like, it could all fall through, it could all fall through, this could not happen.
Oh, well, gosh, you know, if it falls through, and I don't think it will, but if it does, it will be because we are all, you know, crazy, the actors, and we're all in different, you know, LA, and I don't know, Canada and New York, and we're all over the place. It's really hard to get together and think about where we want this to go. But yes, we have definitely met. We've been asked to do it. That's all true.
What I have to ask, what was the first meeting with Scorsese like with all of you?
Oh my God! I literally, how do I even say this? He was a big fan of SCTV. He knew every sketch. He knew characters that we did. He said that it got him through the 70s, I think, is when he started out. When was SCTV on? The 80s? Oh, I'm bad with numbers.
That was when he got sick in the early 80s.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I believe in the early 80s he got sick, and that's when like he started producing Raging Bull or something like that. But he was in the hospital for a little bit.
Okay. Well, you know more than I do. He didn't talk about that, but he certainly was very reverential to all of us. It was very surreal, honestly. I was kind of just in awe. But I don't know if you've ever heard him talk in person. Has anybody ever seen him? I mean, he's so generous and enthusiastic and curious, and that's why I think he's still directing movies. He's just in there and talking to you and want to hear what he wants to hear, what you have to say. It really is. If nothing happens with this, then just to have been in that room and see how a master like that, how he is as a human being, that was the biggest lesson. Really, you know, no pretension, and just wanted to hear our ideas, and then, you know, shared his ideas with us, and it was just very collaborative, very much like we're talking right now.
I mean, that must be the coolest thing, that you produced this thing in the early 80s when you're young and with some kind of people that you just met, and you got a show, and you're trying to fill an hour and a half every week, and you're scared about that, and then 30 years later, the greatest living director, arguably, is sitting across from you, being reverential and talking about recreating it and telling you it's the funniest thing he's ever seen. I mean, I can't imagine what that feeling is like.
Yeah, and at the same time...
Kind of just put it in the back of your head so you don't, you can keep moving forward.
No, you know, at the same time, I'm really listening to what you have to say and trying to feel what that moment felt like with him. At the same time, to be in awe, there is also something so profoundly youthful and collaborative about him that all that mystique or charade or whatever goes away, and you're just wanting to talk about ideas and where could this go, and maybe we should start here, and should we start in a panel, and when he did this with the band, and when we did, and so it just became artists talking, and but that's him. I think that's why he's still directing amazing movies and why he still has a love for it, because it is like a little kid, the way he talks. It was a beautiful evening.
He wants to get in the sandbox and play.
He completely does.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by how cool that is.
I'm telling you.
Back to great news, right?
Yeah.
So you guys are you halfway through this season, right?
We've filmed them all, but we're halfway. I think there are 4 more.
Oh, there's 4 more?
4 more, and I think one. This is live.
Yeah.
So one is tonight at 9:30.
I have to say my favorite episode so far was the one where you bring your mother into the office, and
she was so good.
So amazing.
Oh my God, Judith, and I'm not going to remember her. Oh, where's your person? Why don't we have somebody sitting right here on her computer, so when I say what's going on, they can just research it. Okay, it's bad that I can't remember her last name. Judith, she was so great. Yeah, I love that show too.
Yeah.
Robert Carlock wrote that.
Oh, really? It was really funny, and it very much felt like I guess Robert Carlock, having written it, feels like a 30 Rock kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's it like working with this amazing crew?
Well, does every actor come on here and say they just love everybody? Mm-hmm. And do you believe it?
Why not?
Okay. Well, I'm going to say that I love everybody, and I really do mean it. I want it to be unique and different. There's not a person I don't adore. So Brigade plays my daughter, and I worship her. Nicole Richie, who knew she could be gorgeous, a fashion icon, smart, and really, really great comedian. Horatio Sands, could there be anybody kinder, nicer, genuinely authentic, funny? John Michael Higgins, come on. Wait, and Adam Campbell, he's over there. They should have had him in this shot. You know, I really, it's been a joy working with everyone. Everybody brings something unique to it. It's beautifully cast.
Yeah, you get to go to work every day, and I imagine have a really great time with everybody.
I
and
rode
do
my
these
bike
scenes.
to work. I was in L.A. at Universal, staying at a hotel. Rode my bike. What?
Really, you rode your bike?
Yes, I did. Are you learning way too much about me?
No, I love this. This is what I love. How often do you ride your bike when you're in the city?
I do. Not today, though.
Well, obviously, I don't know if people can see behind us, but it's snowing. How long have you been a city bike rider? And is it something that you're comfortable with, or do you get worried?
You know, I lived in Paris for 2 years, and I rode a bike, so I'm very comfortable with riding bikes here. I don't think about it. I probably should think, but I don't.
I ride a bike too.
You do?
And my wife asks all the time, you know, like, please be careful. And it's like, no, don't tell me that. Like, I'm
Exactly.
fine.
Yeah, don't tell me to be careful. I'm never thinking about being careful.
As soon as you start thinking about being careful on the street, you start kind of like
100%.
second guessing everything.
Have you had any bikes stolen?
I have had one bike stolen, and I've had one minor accident.
Me too.
Yeah.
The
accident was my fault.
Oh, it wasn't my fault. A taxi driver came too close to me, but I had
Really?
two bikes. Yeah, but I'm
I
good.
was crossing the street, and
Yeah.
the light turned green for them right as I was crossing.
Yeah.
And he just kind of hit me and knocked me down. He was like, you know, just starting to accelerate. So he hit me and knocked me down, but his tire did come up on my foot, which was really frustrating.
You didn't hurt yourself. Nothing.
I it was huge, but it wasn't broken or anything.
Have you ever gotten a ticket for going through a light?
Yep. And headphones.
No, I wanted to kill the policeman.
So did I.
Okay, do you know what the ticket is for going through a light? It's $250. That's crazy. And New York City's I think might be the only city that doesn't have the law that, I think it's called the Texas stop sign, where most cities you can get to where the light is, look both ways, and then if there are no cars, you can cross. But this city, you have to, it's crazy. And the reason they're doing that is because of all the city bikes and tourists who aren't really, anyway. I paid the ticket, but I really complained a good solid week about it to everybody.
I had headphones in and I ran a light, and they busted me for both of those things. I was really mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what are you gonna? I mean, you can't really. You're just like, oh, I'll pay.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. It's the law. I broke it. I'll pay. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're good.
I was mad.
Okay.
But you can't say anything to the cop.
I said
you?
something. Yes, I did. I said, are you kidding me? Do you know how many crimes there are in the city? Why are you giving me a $250? First of all, there were no cars coming at all. I looked both ways. It doesn't make any difference. Why am I carrying on?
No, I love this. Please.
Yes, I did. Okay.
You're like, I am a New York icon.
He did. I was praying he recognized me from something. That's always good.
That would have been amazing.
Hey, I did get this was my fault. I was speeding in Toronto down a 30 mile an hour, and I was going like 60 miles an hour, and a woman stopped me, and I went, how dare, and then she said, wait a minute, aren't you? And she recognized, didn't give me a ticket. That was so good, and it was really my fault that time. Okay.
How often do you spend time in Toronto these days?
You know, I go I have a little house there. I was just there over Thanksgiving, and I work there a lot. So I just shot a film there in the summer. That's coming out in May, and I'm going back in a week. I go back as much as I can, but it's nice when I get to work there too.
I love Toronto. That's why I ask. Let's get some questions from the audience. Who has a question? Right here.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
So I looked up the phrase, first of all. It's actually don't look a gift horse in your mouth.
Don't
in the
look.
mouth.
What did I say?
Don't
said
kick
kick.
a...
It's don't look a gift horse in the mouth. What's the genesis of it?
It's from, Don Haywood from 1546.
So it was around, let's say, it is exactly what you're saying, that kind of gangster. Yeah, so don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And
Let's stick with kick. I like kick a lot
don't
more.
kick a gift. That was so aggressive on my part. All right, good. Thank you.
But my question is, see, I know you mostly from My Big Fat Greek Wedding and sequels. How did you get involved with those movies, and how was it like coming back for
For the
sequel.
second one?
Yeah.
So all of us got involved when Nia Vardalos and Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, who executive produced it, asked us to just read a script that Nia had written based on a one-person show that she wrote. And we sat in Tom's office in Playtone in LA, and we read it. And the next thing we knew, it was being made into a movie. And then many years went by, and the second movie was made, and all of us were very anxious to do one, and we'd be very happy to do another. We're like really good, close friends and good family. Yeah.
Next question.
Hi.
Hi.
I actually admire the work that you're doing for the Children of Armenia Fund. I was wondering how you got involved with that.
Are you Armenian?
No, I actually have one of my relatives is actually Armenian.
That's so lovely that you're asking me that. It's called the Children of Armenia Fund, and I'm completely Armenian. My mom and dad were Armenian, and my grandparents were born in Turkey, in the Armenian area of Turkey. I got asked to host it 15 years ago, their gala, and I knew nothing about it. And then I met the chairman, Garo Arman, and fell in love with him and the work that he is doing in Armenia, transforming, it's a third world country, Armenia, and transforming rural villages that the Soviet Union left behind when they left. I've been hosting the gala for 15 years, and it's a real privilege to be able to do that and take whatever celebrity I have and actually do some good with it, as opposed to just thinking about myself 24 hours a day. So it's a great organization. It's Children of Armenia Fund, so you can look it up, COAF. Thank you for asking that.
I think we have time for one more question.
Hi.
Hi.
So, since you did a number of animated characters in the past, most notably from my childhood, Miss Fowl from Jimmy Neutron, do you take some of the personalities from those characters and put them into some of your current work?
Oh. No, I'd say probably the opposite. It's probably work that I've done on SCTV, actually, and used some of those voices and done them on the animated shows. I just did another one. What is it called? Elena of, do you know, are you guys, oh God, Elena. I can remember nothing. Where's that person that knew so much about, what is it? Not kick, but look a gift horse in the mouth. Yeah, okay. Well, I just did another one. I can't remember the name of that's so bad. But I take characters that I've done before and other things and then bring them to the animated world, not vice versa. Yeah.
Andrea, it's been so lovely having you here.
That's it?
Yeah, do you want to keep going? Should we keep talking?
My God, I was born in 19... Thank you all for being here. That's so nice. That was so much fun.
Great News is on tonight on NBC. What time?
At 9:30.
9:30.
After Will and Grace.
It's really one of the funniest shows on television.
so
Everybody
much for
should
being
check it out, especially if you're a fan of Kimmy Schmidt and 30 Rock.
Yeah.
They do such a wonderful job in the show. So do you, Andrea Martin, everybody. Give it up.
Thank you.